Today we're gonna talk about coronaviruses. You could suppose this topic is not relevant too much anymore, just as we forgot about coronaviruses instantly after, even not after, before pandemic finished, after all the restrictions have been cancelled. But here is the reason why I consider it's important to talk about this group of viruses. Before we'll talk about differences, I would like to say what is in common. Frankly, I don't know why coronaviruses have been called coronaviruses, because apparently from the outside I don't see too much difference of outer morphology of coronaviruses apparently and influenza virus, parainfluenza virus. They look quite similar. So I guess they just needed to give it a name, and they gave it the name. This is how I suppose. But morphology is not the only common feature of these viruses. It is also RNA virus. It also attacks respiratory system. It produces enough issues, just as we discussed about influenza and parainfluenza virus last week. So we shouldn't underestimate it. What I would like to discuss is why we've got in trouble with coronaviruses as humanity. This is the first reason humanity got in trouble with coronaviruses. People are used to see problems in others, not in themselves. First. Second, people do not pay attention to all medical fields, just as I told you. And I will repeat it again and again. Because not too much people know what is epidemiology, what is microbiology, what is immunology. Not too much people know. Even doctors. And it's a big issue. It's a big gap in medicine all over the world. It is not a local issue, because it wouldn't. If it would be just a local issue, like just in China, it wouldn't spread that much. But it was worldwide issue. It wasn't. It is. It is. So still, people ignore a lot of medical fields, sciences. And this is why we get in pandemic from time to time. It is not. There is nothing new about that. If you will check history, you will observe we had more pandemics, and most of them have been caused by airborne infections. It is normal that airborne infections are mostly contagious. It is normal. Just as we discussed, we all the time breathe, we don't make any break, and we get in contact to each other, so it happens. But when somebody have been discussing about COVID-19, that is SARS-CoV2. People have been talking about, first started talking about how appeared this virus. It have been invented and pulled into society by purpose, or it was a mutation by an accident that also by accident got in society. So it was one of the first discussions in society that I find meaningless. I find it useless at all. Why? You will never find the answer. So it doesn't make any sense to try to suppose. Also, people started blaming each other. And who've been blamed for the first? China and Chinese, right? So all over the world, we've got outbreaks of kind of racism because of that. Why? Because everybody started blaming China and Chinese, and even if the person wasn't a Chinese, maybe it was he or she would have been Japanese or from Korea or even from Kazakhstan or other Asians. People anyway have been looking at them and go away, go home. Why did you come here and brought here this infection? That is not correct. That's false. Did they bring it in Europe? Did they bring it in USA? Did they bring it there? No. And we'll discuss who brought it. Moreover, even now, after pandemic finished, I'm asking my students, who is guilty about COVID pandemic? And everybody starts, China. Why? Why China?
Because this is a classical answer.
Because it happened there. Okay. And when I ask, and to whom belongs the lab? It went out. To whom belongs it? To China? And everybody knows to whom it belongs. Not to China. But not too much people want to say the name of country it belongs to. Okay, let's suppose both of them are non-guilty, or both of them are guilty. What does it change? It changed nothing. But still, people decided to blame just one side of issue, just one participant, just host, but not developer. Let me ask you something else. Who has an iPhone? Who has an iPhone? Please raise your hand. If you will have issues with your iPhone, whom you will blame? Americans or Chinese? Why? There is no iPhone produced in USA. There is no iPhone produced in USA. Why won't you blame Chinese? Because Chinese assembled them on the Chinese factory. Why don't you blame them? This is about seeing the entire image. So still, if I will have issues with my iPhone, I don't know whom to blame. Maybe it is a mistake of developer, of creator. Maybe it is a mistake of the person who assembled. Maybe it is my mistake that I'm using it like, and I don't keep it safe. So nobody knows. But I will be the last person I will blame, of course, right? Of course. Another thing people started discussing when they have been talking with doctors. How can you know what should we do in coronaviruses, in coronaviral infection? How can you know? It is a new infection. Who told you it's new? It is a new variant of an old virus. Yes. Is it new? No. It used to be more zoonotic infection. That means it spreads just among animals, just between animals. But due to some mutations, it started infecting also people. But still people didn't believe doctors, and here I will explain you why. First of all, because you hate listening. Right? We hate listening. I decide what to listen and what to not listen. I decide what to read and what to not read. I decide whom to trust and whom to not trust. I put this filter. So, in the beginning of outbreak, before it became pandemic, what happened? Everybody started asking all the doctors, should we be afraid of this outbreak? And most of doctors answered correctly. They replied correctly that you shouldn't be that afraid of this infection because it is not much more dangerous than simple cold or flu. It is not much more dangerous, so you shouldn't be that afraid. Please just keep safe as you should during any other respiratory infection. Like when you have some symptoms, please stay home, isolate yourself, get symptomatic treatment, of course, contact your GP, and do everything your doctor will tell you. Right? What did people heard? It is not a big deal, you shouldn't be afraid of that. That's it, period. They didn't listen till the end. Why? Because even during simple cold, even during simple flu, or any other acute respiratory viral infection, as society we are not as responsible as we are recommended, right? And you can check it by your own group. From the entire group, how many students will stay home when they get respiratory infections? Not too much. Good, it is good if at least half of you will take it responsibly and you will isolate yourself and you will get symptomatic treatment. That is the mostly important during viral infections, most of viral infections. So people just continued same behavior like in flu. That means irresponsible behavior. This is what promoted expansion and spreading of this infection. After that, doctors started saying it is dangerous. Coronavirus is killing humans. And people, what? What did you told it is not a big deal and now you are saying different things. Why should we trust you if you change your opinion from day to day? And the first thing you should know, there is nothing strange and there is nothing weird about changing your recommendations, your advices, as long as situation is changing. Because if right now we don't have any emergency in our country, we shouldn't fight against it. But if it comes, we should. Situation changes and our behavior also should change. It is also extremely important. But people say, how can we trust you if you change your opinion from day to day? Yesterday you told it is not dangerous, and today you say it is dangerous. Yesterday you told you shouldn't wear masks. That's correct. That's right. But doctors told, just if you have symptoms, please wear the mask, because it is more important the sick person to wear the mask, not the healthy one. It is more important and more efficient. If both will wear the mask, it is completely perfect. But why in the beginning doctors told, please don't wear the mask if you are not sick? Why? Just because people got in panic and started buying all the masks from all the pharmacies. Some people started making money on masks. Some people started buying too much masks without any reason and wearing 2, 3, 5 masks at the same time and changing them every half hour. And when somebody really needed the mask, they wasn't able to buy it. It was almost impossible to find it in any pharmacy. This is why it was recommended to not buy a mask if you are not sick in the beginning. But after, it was important to prevent it, so everybody should wear the mask. So in the beginning, the situation was one, and we had one situation, and after that, the situation changed, and advices changed. What else? Also, we should be aware that even if the disease is not new, but the variant of the virus is new, and some things we discover about it during pandemic. So people started saying, oh, you're making experiments on us. Is it true or not? I would say that's true. During pandemic, doctors had to make experiments on patients. But it is not like, let's see what happens if we act like that, randomly, just any silly stuff you check and you try. No. It was an experiment because you never know how new variant of infection, new variant of virus will respond to one or another kind of treatment. But basically you know how to treat such infections. So you just check different dosage a little bit. You check different medicines, which of them is more efficient specifically for this virus, maybe developing of new drugs during pandemic. So yes, it is experiment. Because if we don't try it, how we find out if it works or not? So from this point of view, we can say it is an experiment. But we don't have any choice. If we don't make that experiment, and this experiment is actually called clinical trial. And if we don't try it, if we don't check it out, how it works? It doesn't work. Excuse me. How it works that you put do not disturb and it disturbs. Okay. So, still, people didn't believe doctors about prevention, about treatment. about prevention of spreading in the beginning, and after that we came to vaccination.
Cheap. They say they would put for us cheap.
Yes, yes. First of all, cheap, of
They
course,
want to
cheap.
kill us.
Tell me please, most of vaccines have been dissolved 10 doses in one recipient. Please tell me how you divide efficiently all the chips. How can you know? How can you know you didn't introduce all of them to one patient and just water to others? Of course, it doesn't make too much sense. Especially if we pay attention that every day I have a chip that I charge, I pay it, I keep it with me anywhere. It has GPS, it has a bunch of cameras and microphones. Why do they need to check us through vaccination if we give them all the access? We don't keep our pictures anymore in the device, we keep it in the cloud. Why? It is much more comfortable, because if you change your device, you need to transfer all the data. But if you keep everything on cloud, you don't have your data, they have your data. So after that, does it make any sense to introduce any chip in our body? Not too much. We upgrade with our own money. We upgrade this chip every year or every 2 years, but we make sure every single moment to be online. So it doesn't make sense to introduce any chip in our body. They will not be able to upgrade the hardware of this chip. We upgrade it. Doesn't make sense. But the first argument was, how can you make the vaccine that fast? In half a year. Really? Half a year? Are you sure? Please check history. SARS, why it is called SARS-CoV2? Because we had SARS-CoV without any numbers, but the first one. When? 2002. 22 years ago from now. And this outbreak was used to be a big one in China. Do you know about this outbreak? Maybe you heard a little bit, but not too much. Also, coronavirus, the previous version. So this one is upgraded one. That one have been spreading and infected thousands of people and killed almost 1,000, if I keep in mind correct. Well, 700 and something. So, but nobody keeps in mind that. And from that moment, don't you think scientists all over the world made a lot of researches on this virus? If we suppose it is a new virus that didn't exist till now, yes, half a year probably took to make a vaccine. Do you think it took half a year? They started developing vaccine against this virus in 2002. This is why I believe that this vaccine is extremely efficient. This is why I believe vaccination. And I trust vaccination, because they did it much before. And we had the second outbreak that is called MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. SARS is... What is SARS? Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. that appeared also in China. MERS, Middle East respiratory syndrome, that appeared in the Middle East. In 2012, if I'm not wrong. Don't you think they developed or started developing also vaccines after that outbreak? Of course they started. So when we've got SARS-CoV2 outbreak, they just continued their production or developing of vaccines against these infections. And when somebody have been saying, I trust more American vaccine, or I trust more Russian vaccine, or I trust more Chinese vaccine, or I trust more British vaccine, whatever. It doesn't make any sense to divide your pharmaceutical trusts based on your political views. It doesn't make any sense. You should pay attention to politics, everything that happens in the world, but the mostly stupid thing we can ever do to choose one or another vaccine just because it is from the country I trust. Believe me, all of those countries are interested to produce a good vaccine. Moreover, all of them have enough facilities to produce a good one. So when different countries started blaming other countries that they produced bad vaccine, it was just policy and marketing. That's it. That's it, because you have an outbreak all over the world and you have a product everybody needs. What should you do?
Promote.
You should promote it. How?
By blaming doctors.
By blaming others, other distributors. Yes, so you should take the entire market. Of course, in promoting, West is stronger than East in promoting. This is why a lot of people started trusting more Western vaccines than Eastern vaccines. But in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense because most of those vaccines have been very good. And moreover, I want you to know that especially during outbreak, if it is not outbreak, I highly recommend you go and buy the vaccine of country you trust. Just because you can afford it, just because you have choice. But when it is outbreak and you don't have too much choice, please take the take the vaccine you have first. So when I've been asked by others, by colleagues, by relatives and friends, which vaccine you will choose, I told the first available one. That's it. So the first available one in the Republic of Moldova was AstraZeneca. I choose that one. If it would be Sputnik or Pfizer or Sinopharm, whatever, if it would be another one, I would choose the first available one. It doesn't matter from which country it comes. It is extremely important. And if during an outbreak you make policy but not medicine, you make a crime. You must understand it. If during the outbreak, if during pandemic, you make policy but not medicine, you commit crime. Why? Because some people will wait. They will trust you and they will wait until that specific vaccine will appear. But I had a lot of colleagues who've been waiting for a vaccine. They've been waiting for the first available one. And a little bit of time they didn't have to wait that vaccine, to get that vaccine. A lot of colleagues who died because they have been, And now other colleagues are saying, no, I will not choose, I will not take this one, I am waiting for another one. And started to, looking for excuses. No, now I have contraindication, I don't know what. Guys, it is extremely dangerous to do such things. You should understand it, and you should keep it in mind. Why? Because it will happen again. Why it will happen again? People have short memory. How can we know that people have short memory? Same false information circulates about vaccination every single year. After hundreds of proofs that it is false information, anyways, people continue spreading same stupid stuff about vaccination. That's the reality. Who is guilty that COVID-19 became pandemic? I would say every country. And every human is guilty about that. Why? When outbreak started in China, what started doing other countries? The mostly stupid thing they could ever do. They started evacuating their people from China.
Yeah. They are bringing the disease
From
to them back.
From the epidemiological point of view, how can you find this action to be a wise one? How?
They think that
On
they're
which
saving
point
the
it makes any sense? Tell me, please.
No sense.
Americans started evacuating their people in US, Russians started evacuating their people in Russia, Europe started evacuating their people in Europe. Why? Because we care about our citizens. Sounds extremely patriotic, right? And extremely stupid.
But your citizen is coming with disease.
What should they do? They should keep in touch with their citizens through embassies, through their officials, Chinese officials. They should keep in touch with their citizens. They should provide them with everything their citizens need. It would be, by the way, much more cheaper than evacuating people. Just provide them, stay where you are. We will provide you with, we'll extend your medical insurance. We will provide you with foods, with money maybe for general stuff you need. Wait until the outbreak will finish. This is everything we can do. Sorry, yes, of course we do care about our citizens abroad, but home we have much more citizens. We also should care about them. This is very important.
This is not
But they did what they did. They started evacuating their people. Okay, they started evacuating their people and assumed that when they bring those citizens home, they will keep them in quarantine in order to check did or didn't they get infected. And here is another issue. A lot of people started thinking that their rights are broken. What do you mean you brought me home and you don't let me going home? And you keep me in a hospital. Are you going to make experiments on me? I'm a rat? Am I a rat or a rabbit for your experiments? Let me go. And they literally started breaking doors and locks in hospitals and trying to escape. That's extremely stupid. That you know, you can calculate everything in this world. You can calculate the direction of wind you cannot see. You can calculate speed of spreading of bacteria and viruses. You can calculate direction and speed of lightning in the sky. You can calculate everything in this world except humans' behavior. You cannot predict. You cannot ever predict humans' behavior. This is why when you have an outbreak, you should isolate everyone. In that place we have outbreak. That's it. And wait. If they will have to die, so sorry about that. But it is that sacrifice that keeps the entire country safe. But if we'll have some remedies for them, if we'll find a solution for them, awesome, much more better. So, how can you make vaccine in half a year? Because everybody started saying like, it is extremely important it takes about 5 up to 7 years, even up to 10 years to make clinical trials on those vaccines. Oh, really?
And also they say,
Really?
what about HIV? They didn't found the solution for this. It was very famous.
So
For cancer.
when they say that it is necessary 7 years for clinical trials and investigations, who told you? Everybody started talking about that like they are coming from factories producing vaccines, like they're experts in this field. Who told you? I googled. Very good. I have some students, not a lot of students. I asked, where did you find this information? In Google. But after that they are coming to me and asking why they have that low mark. Go and Google. Really? This is the way we obtain material? Go and Google. If you don't use that material university is giving, if you don't use that material I'm giving, I don't see any reason why should you be surprised about low mark. Because not everything you can find on Google is correct. Moreover, not every time your request on Google is correct. And the result depends on request. So it is very important to check your sources if you're a specialist in the field. And if you're not specialist in this field, don't Google, guys. Don't look on internet for a solution if you are not specialist in this field. Because if I don't understand something, if I didn't make any investigations, I don't have degree in this field, and I will Google something, it will make sense for me. But if specialist will read it, just he will understand is it correct or not. Same thing with every field, not just with medicine. I guess I don't need to explain you what to do for lab investigation in case of coronavirus, because the entire population is that experienced in lab investigation for coronavirus. It can be PCR, it can be antigenic test, it can be antibody test. It depends what are you looking for. But I would like to underline that whenever you have a positive result, it doesn't matter. You know that PCR is the mostly precise way of investigation. Like it gives about 95% precise result. When we are talking about antigenic test, precision is lower. But please keep in mind, it doesn't mean that if you take antigenic test that is faster and cheaper and it gets positive, you say, okay, it is not that precise as PCR. I'm going to take PCR test and PCR goes negative. Which one will be more precise in this case? Which one? The positive one. Not PCR or antigenic test just because it has a higher or lower precision rate, but the positive one in 99% cases will be that precise. We can have false negative results. We have unclear results. But it is almost impossible to have false positive result. This is why the biggest precision has the positive one, not the PCR or something else. The mostly precise will be the positive one. So if you already have a positive test, that's it. You don't need any other confirmation. Moreover, some people make antigenic tests. No, I don't trust it because PCR is... Why did you do that? Why didn't you go instantly to make PCR if you don't trust this one? Start with PCR. Yes, but this one is cheaper. Okay, but anyways, after that you go and pay PCR. So altogether is much more cheaper than just PCR. Much more expensive, than just PCR. So you pay antigenic test, you pay PCR. But why didn't you start with the PCR? Because it is cheaper. Not too much sense. Well, if you trust one or another one, start with that one. That's it. Or start with the mostly available one. If you have, you made antigenic test and it came negative, but you're not sure, you can repeat it with PCR. But it is extremely important. Mucous membranes of nasal cavity, of nasopharynx, to not be washed, to not be cleansed. So don't brush your teeth, don't wash and clean your nose before investigation. The person just called me. It's my friend who is a lawyer, and he is traveling a lot for his clients. Right now he came in Moldova, so he is traveling a lot in different countries to make business. So during pandemic, of course, he's been so angry on all doctors, all epidemiologists, and he's been blaming all the doctors. You are stopping us from making money. You are stopping us from working. Why? You still can travel. Why? You still can travel. Yes, but I have to do a lot of investigations. Yes, for your good, for your sake. Of course not, for your profit. Yes, of course. You want to make money, and I don't. Do you think so? It is not fair too much. He didn't trust in existence of virus because I'm traveling a lot and I'm not infected until he got infected. After that, he started sending. Before he'd been sending me memes about how stupid it is believing in pandemic and in viruses. After that, he started sending me memes about how stupid are people who don't believe in existence of virus. But still, he got vaccinated. And it helped him to not get in that big trouble because of some chronic diseases. And after that, he told, from this moment on, no deviation from your advice is an inch of deviation, never. Okay, very good. But until somebody will start believe doctors, it can be too late. It can be extremely late. So this is my advice. Please check your sources. Please pay attention to what you are doing, what you are learning. Be the best in your field. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know about things you are not specialist in. Please Be specialist in your field, not in all fields. Usually those who are participating, are getting in any field, they have no idea about anything, even about their field. They don't have time to develop in their field because they poke their nose in any gap. It is very important. Please. And
unfortunately, there's people who are not believing until they suffer.
yes, yes, yes. It is very important. It is not necessary to eat from garbage in order to know that normal food is delicious. It is not necessary. It is not necessary to suffer in order to know that correct life is better. So please keep that in mind. Please pay attention to what you are doing and which advices you are following, and be the best in your field. That's it.